right, diving into business context rules, and this is going to be a bit of a shorter video, but that is no indication in relation to the value of this feature. You can just ask my coworkers here. I absolutely love this feature, and one of the primary reasons why is that in a past life, I worked for an MDR provider. And one of the really kind of unique things there was that everybody kind of worked in pods assigned to customers. So if a customer had something happen, we could get on Slack and chat with them and be like, hey, we know your company, and have some business context there. Now, with that, is that as people leave the pods, for example, a lot of that context is lost. So basically, there would be like a Notion guide or something along those lines where it's like, hey, go get up to speed on these customers. Then the kind of the business context, what we know about them, the people, the individuals, naming structures, IP spaces, all of the different information. And there's just no way you could realistically do that and really truly understand the environment. So a detection would come in. They'd be like, hey, we just saw this detection. For example, hey, can you maybe let me know a little bit about this particular IP in your space? And a lot of times the answer would be, you already know this information. We've talked about this. You have this information. So instead of that scenario, you could simply write in your business context rules inside of here. And so with that, so for example, anything just human language about your environment. So for example, we're a global fintech company headquartered here. We have locations here, here, and here. If you see these type of people maybe logging in from these locations, this is perfectly normal for our environment. So that might be like one business context rule that you would want to write. One of the ones that we just recently had for one of our customers is saying, up until this person, when they hire somebody or agree that somebody's going to come on board, their user account is created up to about 45 days in advance until, all the way up to their date that they actually started the company. So we'll see a brand new user come inside of the environment. And then essentially what will happen is that we kind of learn, we don't see anything from that user, no activity. And then, up to 45 days later, all of a sudden, hey, this user logs in, they register a new device for MFA purposes. And it's like, whoa, hold on, what's going on here? This deviates way from what we've seen from the previous 45 days. So we just simply wrote in the logic, like, hey, within a 45-day window of the very first time that you see an account inside the environment, expect that we're going to see them log in. We're going to start learning about their location and their behaviors. And they're also going within that first 2 weeks that you see the first connection, they're going to register a device for MFA purposes. And that's probably going to come from a different IP where you typically see them log in from, just because your devices typically aren't going to share the same IP that you would see from your home network. So these are all types of things we can just write in that type of language in the scenarios that you have for onboarding or offboarding or whatever it might be. Host names, IP spaces, just plug in that context. And now what all of our detections are going to do is leverage all of these things inside of there to say, hey, what I'm seeing inside of here, this is normal. Or saying, hey, you know what? You told me these host names are production environments, or these AWS accounts are production versus dev. I want to bubble this up. This actually means much more to us. So I know you can have as much kind of business context as you want to add inside of here, but super, super valuable, because now instead of context getting lost over time, the system just gets smarter over time by learning these things. So super, super valuable. I absolutely love these. So that wraps up our detection series inside of here. And now we're going to move on to the investigate tab. Thank you.